What's up, guys? How we doing? So today's video is rather uncomfortable. I do not like doing videos about people's parents, their finances, and these types of situations, but I feel like it's necessary here. So I'm going to give you a peek at the abuse, manipulation, both physical and mental, that the Lawrence family has done to Jet and Hunter. And then back to fun motocross stuff. I have some pretty solid information about where Chase Sexton will be riding next year. Check out Nano-Extreme. If you haven't tried this stuff, click the link in the description, get your sample, and then I'm telling you, this is the best pain cream I've ever used. It works so good. And I don't like taking pills. All of us that ride dirt bikes have all sorts of aches and pains. Get your sample and don't take my word for it. Use it yourself. Head over to Nano-Extreme. Use code COOKSY for free shipping. Check out Coach Rob's YouTube channel. He's got information about physical fitness, interviews with Ryan Hughes, Connor Fields, Big E, Daniel Blair, and all sorts of good content. So head over to Coach Rob's YouTube channel and give him a subscription.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So I hate making videos like this. I know people say, oh, this is Cooksy. I don't. I really don't. I didn't sleep very well the last couple nights trying to figure out how to phrase this. I don't like being the one that breaks news about abuse or people being manipulated. It's not fun. It is not fun. But at the same time, I will not be complicit and not say anything when I see or hear of abuse or manipulation or things that I just think are wrong. I will speak up, and I hope more people follow along and also speak up, because a lot of the people that I interviewed leading into this and got a lot of this information from all request to be kept anonymous. I wish they would speak up. If they would speak up, less things like this would happen. So Darren Lawrence has spun this tale about how they're this amazing family. They sacrificed everything to get the boys here. It's all about just keeping the family unit together. And while that's partially true, it's a lot darker than that. It's a lot of manipulation, and it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of control and narcissism wrapped up into that. Darren is controlling Jet like a prized possession, his golden goose. And I think he feels responsible for building him there. And maybe he feels like that's owed to him. I don't know. You'd have to ask Darren. But I want to give you an idea of the relationship that he has with these kids and the abuse that people have seen, that has been out there, that nobody talks about. In 2020, Jet's rookie season at the St. Louis Supercross, he made a mistake in the heat race, and Jet crossed over on a rider in a heat race and crashed. While discussing this after the heat race, before the main event, Darren Lawrence lost his mind and punched Jet Lawrence in the Geico Honda rig at a Supercross. An adult socked a minor. Yes, he was 16, and he punched him in the rig. And if there's one thing I know about physical abusers of women, children, typically, if they'll punch in public, it's 10 times worse in private. So that's what this guy did in a semi-truck of a factory team to his minor son. So what do you think's happening back at home? He was hit so hard that they were debating not letting him race the main event. And that's where everyone else comes involved. Then there's the team. Jeff Myshak, along with Ziggy and Mike Grondal, were the three guys that own the Geico Honda team. Marshak's a scumbag and a liar. I caught him in a lie in like 3 text messages. First, he told me he didn't know anything about the incident, and then he told me there was a big investigation. I'm like, well, which is it? Do you not know about it, or was there a big investigation? So I don't trust anything that Jeff Marshak says. I think the dude's a liar. But throughout my research, and I wish I could tell you the people that I talked to, there's some pretty big names. This absolutely happened. Now, the intensity of how hard he was hit is what's in debate. It's not necessarily that he actually punched him. It's how hard was the punch, and was he able to race after being hit that hard? Which is ludicrous to me, that the concern was whether he can race or not that we need to get this psychopath dad who punched their kid out of the rig and away from these people. But they're so scared of losing this talent, because that's what Jet is. Jet is a generational talent. We've all seen it. But they're so worried that if they say anything to his dad, that maybe his dad has still enough power, as you know, the kid's a minor at this time, to yank him out of their program and go sign somewhere else. So yeah, There's a lot riding on it, and there's a big reason for these guys to stay quiet. They keep their golden goose. Same reason people in Hollywood don't say anything about parents abusing children, because they need those children for their movies, and if they report the family, then they'll probably lose that children for the movies. Same theory holds true here. So I looked up what are the characteristics of parents who do this to their children, and I went with Hollywood, because Hollywood is typically, this problem's been around a lot longer and a lot bigger in Hollywood. This is a fairly new problem to us. I mean, we've seen it, but we've not seen it on this level. We've not seen it with a rider making $10 million a year, having his family control everything like Britney Spears. So here are some characteristics of the parents. Guilt tripping. Parents may say things like, we sacrificed everything for your career, making the child feel responsible for the family's well-being. Does Darren ever do that when he reminds everybody about how they skipped meals so Jet and Hunter could go race? Yeah, that is the guilt tripping. Love as a reward. Some parents condition their affection on the child's success, making them feel they must keep working to earn their parents' approval. This is 100% the case. These boys, if they have a bad race, they are shunned. If they have a good race, they're brought into the family and loved. It's a manipulation. Fear of abandonment, threatening to leave, withdraw support, or make the child feel like they will lose their family if they don't comply. I don't have any specific examples of this that I can kind of draw from, but I have to think this probably happened too. Financial exploitation, controlling finances. Since children can't legally manage their own money, parents often take control, sometimes using it for their own expenses. 100%. They have taken control of his money, and now that he's been an adult, this dude's almost 22 years old, he still has zero control of his money. They have 100% control. He is not allowed to know how much he makes. Downplaying success. Telling the child they're not making as much money as they think to justify taking a large cut. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's probably the case. And I love how they kind of painted Jet Lawrence as wanting a Rolls Royce. And while he probably thought it was cool and wanted a Rolls Royce, Jet Lawrence didn't want a Rolls Royce. Darren wanted a Rolls Royce. Look at this picture of Jet standing by this. Does that look like somebody excited that they just got their new car? It doesn't. Now you put him next to something like what Hayden Deegan had, that sick Audi, or some kind of cool car that would actually get chicks. A Rolls Royce, not cool, man. It's cool for a guy like Darren, not for Jet. And here's a video of Darren driving his car that they pretend is Jet Lawrence's car.
Hey mate, just wanted to say thank you. We're going to dinner in Dade City, which we couldn't afford to do for many, many years. And we're going to dinner in a Rolls Royce. So thank you, Mertz. You're a fucking legend.
Using the child as a family breadwinner. Putting pressure on the child to work nonstop to provide for the family. Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious that he's grinding these kids out there and just making sure they do everything because the family depends on them. Career control. Forcing roles. Pushing the child into roles they don't want if they are inappropriate or damaging to their mental health. Now this, we don't have roles, we have teams, and this would play into directing them to which team to sign. Discouraging independence. Making the child believe they wouldn't survive without parental management, preventing them from seeking outside representation. They have 100% done this, saying, oh, if we just give him all his money, he'll blow it, he's irresponsible, he's a kid. Instead of actually teaching him how to do it and setting him up with his own financial advisors and a trust that would work for him, instead, they maintain 100% control. Sabotaging opportunities. Some parents interfere with contracts or relationships with agents and studios to keep the child dependent on them. A lot like how they just sent Myrtle packing. Now let's look at isolating the child. Limiting outside influence. Keeping the child away from other adults who might question the parent's behavior, like teachers, agents, or mentors. Yeah, they are so guilty of controlling the environment that these kids are exposed to and not letting anyone get in there who could actually tell Jet, hey, you make $10 million a year. $3,000 a month for you is ridiculous. Controlling friendships. Only allowing friendships with people who reinforce the parent's control or the child's career. So this comes down to the girlfriend. Now, she wants to have a life with Jet because that's what you do. When you meet your significant other, you talk about marriage, kids, and building your own family. but that would mean he leaves the nest and he gets control of his own life. That is a direct threat to Darren Lawrence, and that's why they probably have done everything within their power as far as getting Hunter involved. Hunter has wished death upon her. True story. And they have done everything they could to paint her in a bad light. Psychological manipulation, creating a fear of failure, telling the child that their career is fragile and that one mistake could ruin everything. Well, I think that's actually true in our sport. One mistake can ruin everything. One injury, one thing, and it could change your whole life. So I don't know if that one really pertains. Making a child feel replaceable. Saying things like, there are a million other kids who would love your job, to make them more compliant. Of course, anytime Jet questions, oh man, I'm working so hard, I'm doing this, his parents go, do you know how many people out there would love to be able to do what you're doing? And then, then you feel like a jerk for saying, oh, I'm tired, I want some money, I want to do this. For being a regular kid or adult that wants normal things in life, they make him feel guilty. And that's part of the psychological manipulation. So with his dad having 100% control over his money, giving him $3,000 a month, it didn't really come to light. And I don't think Jet ever rocked the boat until he got his girlfriend. Once he gets his girlfriend, now, like I said, all these questions come in and then they started asking. That's where this thing started to go south, when she was involved. And that's why the parents were so against her, why Hunter was so against her. And Hunter, he's had his own battle. He's married and he had to fight his parents to get out from under their thumb, just like Jet was. But he's still pretty far underneath there. Like I said, he doesn't have near the money that Jet does. Jet's the breadwinner. You take Hunter and take Jet out of the picture, say his brother's never around. I mean, he's got a little bit better career than Justin Cooper, but not much. And Justin Cooper does great, but he's not on the level of Jet Lawrence. And like I said, I'm not painting Lucas as this complete saint. He saw this happening. He saw it and he allowed it for a long time, and he never did anything specifically. But then when he started to really see it and start to do something, they made the plan to get rid of him. Like I said, he is not a saint. He's not some guy, he's an agent, and he's done some stuff that has pissed a lot of people off. And I've called him out for that. I did not like how he handled the Club MX deal. I did not like how they blocked Hayden Deegan from going to Australia. A lot of those things were, Myrtle was he was a part of some of those things. And those are bad decisions, but he's a human being, but he did not steal and do the things that they were trying to destroy him for. And now once he started kind of getting in Jet's ear, and where it really, the tipping point, I think, was Paris Supercross, when Jet could not afford, on his $3,000 a month stipend, to fly his girlfriend there for the race. That is when this whole thing started to spin out of control. And I think that Darren realized, and this is my opinion, that Darren realized, okay, this guy knows all the secrets about what's going on. He is a clever narcissist, and he understands, okay, well, this guy, we've let this guy in on the scam. If he gets out, he could tell people. What do we do with Lucas Myrtle to keep him from talking about all this stuff? Let's destroy him. If you could accuse him of stealing, he will have to go away, and nobody will ever listen to anything he has to say if he does come out with any of the stuff that is true. There's physical abuse, that Jet was punched in public at the Geico rig and at a Supercross race. I can only imagine if that there's no way that's the only time that's ever happened. Physical abusers don't typically just have one moment. But if Darren could publicly disgrace Lucas Myrtle enough that anything he said didn't matter, he was home free. That's all that I believe was his incentive in this whole deal. And Wasserman had their incentives and the other people around it. It was like the perfect storm. But what they didn't count on was Lucas not being a bitch and standing up for himself. I'm sure Jet won't want to watch this video, and it's probably going to make his life a little bit harder in the beginning, but this is the first step to taking his own independence and taking back his life, and I really hope he does. He needs to get control of his finances. In about 10 or 15 years, he'll look back and go, damn, you know what? That was the right move. Yeah, my dad was manipulative, but it's hard because it's your family. You have this blood bond to them. They brought you into this world. You feel like you owe them everything, and you do owe them a lot, but he has paid that back 100 times over. And all he has to do is just take care of them on a reasonable level. They don't have to have the complete control over his empire. You can still be rich and take care of your family. The parents don't deserve 100% of what you make. This is a problem in anything when you have children who are stars that bring in more money than the parents. It's something that will always arise. It's never going to go away. But at least Hollywood has kind of addressed it, and they try and put some laws in where the parents have to put a certain amount aside for the kid when they're an adult. We have nothing like that in our sport, and I think it's maybe time. And I don't know if it's big enough to really set a standard where you have to do something like that. But if we all just are responsible and talk about these things, and we don't allow evil to exist. If everybody who saw what Darren was doing spoke up, we wouldn't have a problem. People wouldn't do this stuff if they knew they were going to get found out. Anyway, that's it for Darren, and sending my best to Jet Lawrence. I hope this works out. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Check out Ride Strapped. Best goggles, glasses, shirts, just a great company. Really enjoy working with these guys. Hit up ridestrap.com. Precision Transport, the best shipping company that I've ever dealt with, family owned. Just great people. So hit up pretransport.com if you need to ship anything. Alias MX gear, they're making a comeback, and there's a chance you might see Alias on a top rider next year. I know they're negotiating with some. They are back. So head over to Alias MX and get yourself some motocross gear. All right, so I had a bombshell news yesterday. Chase Sexton is leaving KTM and going to Kawasaki. So I was told it's not a done deal, but it's really, really close to being done. KTM is now out. Chase wants to ride the Kawasaki, and he has told his agents as much. I want to go that direction. I think it's a smart move to get away from the KTM program. While I think the KTM program will be fine, I do think they're going to have some issues with the new ownership coming in. So it could get weird in the next few years as far as getting the budgets you need to get the right equipment and move forward. Kawasaki, on the other hand, they are ready to go. They couldn't be happier, and look for Chase Sexton to be on a Kawasaki next year. Like I said, it's not 100%, but it's pretty close. I will be shocked if this doesn't happen. Thank you, members. I appreciate everything. You guys are the best, and you're all entered to win the Cooper